Welcome back to episode 197 of the ATD Baseball Podcast. Back again, the final week of August, and we are almost to the time of the pennant chase. That's pretty much what it is now. We have teams fighting for playoff spots, teams starting to separate themselves, and we're back again with another bunch of topics of hand that we want to discuss. Same people as always, myself and Kyle. But before we get into everything, of course, as always, Kyle, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. We are officially for us teachers. We're officially back at school today. Um, yeah, it was a nice little break, but it's also nice to get back into a daily routine and get back onto a structured life. Because for us teachers, it gets a little crazy there sometimes. So overall, doing pretty good, man. Getting back into the swing of things. As far as baseball goes, yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head, man. We're getting there. It's kind of crazy just how quick this season has gone, and just the fact that we're closing in, man. We're closing in, so super excited and great baseball ahead, and we'll see how these pennant chases roll out. But yeah, I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. As you can probably hear, my voice is a little eh. Just kind of getting over a little cold here. Thankfully, um, I immediately started pumping myself with all kinds of vitamins and stuff just to make sure that it didn't get out of hand, which seems like it paid off again because I woke up Saturday and I felt like, oh, my throat felt a little scratchy, and I had 2 more days of work. And not gonna lie to you, yesterday was kind of a little. I kind of had to put my head down and kind of grind it out. It was a grind it out, put your head down type of day because I was not feeling 100%. But thankfully, I was able to get through it, and I feel better now. But still, it's like, you take all this stuff and it you kind of have it kind of knocks you out a little bit, and you kind of have to get up. But and then on top of it, I mentioned this to Kyle. It is like 1,000 degrees in the Southern California area. It has been like this for like the past, I'd say, week and a half, where it's really been like miserably hot. As you can see behind me, I have my fan on in here. It's still not helping. But anyways, it is 97 degrees outside right now. It's been miserable the last couple weeks, and unfortunately, it's going to continue into this week as the temperatures are going to stay in the upper 90s. And um, I knew this was going to happen 2 months ago because the calendar flipped to June. It was the middle of June, end of June, going in July, and it wasn't unbearably hot yet. Like, it wasn't even hot at all. Like, it was still like very nice and cool. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy that. But at the end of but then also in the back of your mind, it's like, damn, that means we're gonna have a later summer here, and summer's gonna extend probably into September. And sure enough, that's what's happening. But we'll get through it. Just stay hydrated. I got my water right here, even though it's freaking melting. Um, Doing all right. Dodgers took care of business. I told you last week when I came in here, when we were in here last week, they played a 3 game series against the Rockies and a 3 game series against the Pirates. There was no reason why they couldn't come back here. I couldn't come in here a week later and tell you that this team went 5-1. They couldn't be any worse than that. And they actually did better than that. They won all 6 games. So again, I'm not going to be jumping up and down and saying, plan the parade and the Dodgers are going to steamroll through everybody again. But um, it was nice to see the Dodgers better, play better. So we'll get more into that, of course, when it comes to the end with the Dodgers. But um, I'm doing fine. Thankfully, I have this week off to kind of get better, kind of isolate myself, because I don't want to get other people sick. So um, yeah, but let's get into these topics at hand here. We've got Little League. We've got the Little League Classic that happened yesterday. Um, we've got a major shakeup with the Marlins and their scouting department and everything. We got a couple injuries with Diaz and Stanton. Really updates from both of them, and then we have this really weird Ketel Marte stuff going around really the last week and a half, and we're gonna address it. Then of course our two teams as always. But we'll start off here at the top with the Little League Classic that took place yesterday. It was, of course, between the Brewers and the Braves. I got to see a majority of it when I got home from work yesterday, and it to me it's just one of the cool things that Major League Baseball does. Um, I believe this is I think they've been going there every single season since 2017. Of course, outside of like 2020 and other years like that, but um, it's a cool thing that they do. I'm so glad that Major League Baseball and Little League kind of has this partnership because for a lot of players that have made the big leagues, for a good majority of them, they've been on TV when they were 10 at the Little League World Series, which is crazy. So, um, I'm glad that MLB there's like this kind of like this partnership between Little League and MLB to where they'll send two teams over there, and all the kids get to go and see these big league players play in person, and that's really cool. And I actually would want to go one of these years. It kind of sucks because the Little League Classic is always like a month after the Cooperstown trip that I go up
Yeah.
there. So it's like, do I want to take two trips back up to PA and in less than a month? But I feel like one of these years we have to do that because it's it's one of the cool things that Major League Baseball does, and it goes aligned with the Players Weekend, where like you can get to wear the colorful shoes, you get to wear the you get to use the colorful bats and all this stuff. So, um, it's really cool, and the game was actually really entertaining too, because we've had some years where the game was like, ugh, like it seems like they're showing more of the kids and they're promoting more of the kids in the actual game because what's going on in the field is not that good. But yesterday the game was actually really good. Um, like yeah, the Braves won, and it was good for my team because the Dodgers are now have been set, and I'll get more into this when we get into my Dodgers, but they've separated themselves with the Brewers. I mean, they've separated themselves away from the Braves, and they've made some ground up on the Brewers going into this week. So I had some stakes in it too, watching Braves and Brewers over the weekend for standings purposes. But just to bring it all back here to the forefront, it's a really cool thing that Major League Baseball does, and they already announced the two teams that are going to be playing next year. Bold of people to assume that we're going to have a season next year, but hey, man, I'm going to continue to stay optimistic. If they're, um, you know, announcing that they're going to go back to Williamsport and they're going to have the Field of Dreams game and all this stuff, I'm going to take that as a positive that, hey, you know what? Maybe the owners and the Players Association will come together, reconcile their differences, and we'll have a season next year. But this is really cool that the Major League Baseball does, and I'm so glad that they have this partnership. And I think it's really cool to have the kids involved as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna double down on what you said. Definitely cool to have the kids involved. Definitely a cool thing to just bring baseball back to its roots, kind of thing. That's kind of what this reminds me of. Yeah, the game is really good. Braves Brewers. I mean, can't it, two of the hottest teams in baseball. Let's be honest, especially in that stacked National League. But when it comes down to it, I really wish it goes back to the Field of Dreams game, man. I really wish Major League Baseball did a better job of marketing this and letting everybody know because again, like this was one of those things that I didn't know was happening until I logged on to MLB last night,
Yeah,
checked some scores, did what I needed to, but it was one of those things where if I didn't log in and check that, I wouldn't have known it was even going on. And again, like, we're avid baseball fans. So I don't like that part. But as far as the game goes, it was really entertaining. It was really good. Um, and yeah, I mean, do I think we'll have a season next year to be able to play the Little League Classic again? Yeah, I think so. Do I think it's going to be shortened? Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, they have it already, mapped out for next year.
it's on a
Cubs, Blue
Thursday
Jay.
too.
Yeah, yep. Cubs,
That was a
Blue
little
Jays.
weird.
Yeah, I thought so too. But yeah, Cubs, Blue Jays next year. You know, this is one of those things that they really don't necessarily like. I guess the teams don't matter all that much of who's playing together, but you know, overall, it's a really cool experience. And Yeah, I'm also gonna agree with you on the whole going up there one year. You know, I only live 3 hours away from Williamsport. I've been up there for other things, not the Little League Classic, but yeah, I would love to get up there, kind of see what it's all about. It reminds me of another one of those baseball towns like Cooperstown is,
Yeah,
and you know, those village type places. So, kind of tucked away in a place that you wouldn't be going up there unless you're going up for the Little League Classic. So,
right.
um,
Yeah,
yeah, it's probably
We'll kidnap map one year. We'll go.
absolutely. Yeah, it's probably one of those things that's just it's tucked away in this small little town that we've probably never heard of outside of this. So it's probably got some charm to it, that baseball charm that Cooperstown has that we love so much. But um, yeah, this is one of those games I always look forward to. I just wish I would have known about it a little bit, sooner. I wish they would have promoted it a little bit better. So overall, though, it was a good game. 4-2 Braves win. Um, yeah, it's entertaining for once. So good on Major League Baseball again. Like I'll give the flowers where it's due, and I hope they continue this because it's so cool to see. Like it truly does go back to the roots of the game. That is something that I can't express how much I love. Um, so you know, let's hope we have a long enough season next year to get the Little League Classic back in there, and optimism, right? That's what we got to have with this. So let's uh let's just say that there's gonna be, and we'll be able to see it again next year. Blue Jays and Cubs. Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. It always is.
Yeah, and just to touch on this real quick, this wasn't on the topics, but since you mentioned it, the promotion, um, I hate, and I think we had this discussion last year. Major League Baseball completely drops the ball every year on players weekend.
Yeah, I agree.
Like the promotion is not that great. The matchups aren't that great either. Um, and the thing that everybody goes back to is that, oh, remember when they had the cool jerseys with the nicknames? Like, we have to get back to that, man. And it's a shame because that's one of the like main um like ways you can showcase your players and stuff with like, yeah, they can wear the cleats and the bats, but it's like, all right, it's the same generic jerseys that you see all throughout the season. And I think I mentioned this last year that the thing that I would do to help promote players weekend is that you just have everybody wear their City Connect uniforms for the weekend.
Yeah,
Like, to me, that's kind of fun. You can see, like, if you're a road team, like, typically you're not wearing your City Connect uniforms on the road, so you're gonna have half of the league that is gonna take the City Connects into another city to play against another team wearing their City Connects at home. So, um, to me, it's an easy fix. It sucks that Major League Baseball, just for whatever reason, whether it's just laziness or just cheapness, like, they just Players Weekend, like in 2019, was really cool. Like, you had the nickname on the jerseys, you had the cool match, you had Dodgers Yankees one year.
yep,
That was really cool. But um, like, I just feel like, again, Major League Baseball could have done a better job, like you mentioned, of not just promoting the Little League Classic, but promote Players Weekend as well. Because all there was is just their normal generic hats with a Players Weekend patch on the side,
yeah,
and most guys wearing either some cool cleats or some different colored bats. That's it. And if you would have gone to any if you were at any major league game this weekend, and I was, because I was working, I probably could have asked 100 people, hey, did you know that this weekend was Players Weekend? I guarantee you 90%, more than 90% would have been like, what the hell are you talking about? But
yeah,
that's just, I don't know. I just, again, I feel like, I hope, and maybe this is, dare I say, this is gonna be one of the good things about this upcoming lockout, is that maybe this will give Major League Baseball a chance to kind of like look at some of the ways that they are promoting things, and hey, we need to do a better job of this. We have to do a better job of um getting the word out and promoting. Hopefully that's one of the better things that comes out of the other side of this potential lockout coming.
Yeah, actually, that was smart move by you. You know, talking about Players Weekend because it is something that I do think that we should touch on. Especially given the fact that I truly do feel like every single year we come in here after Players Weekend, and we say we want changes, right? Um, like I'm looking at a picture right now of 2019 Dodgers Yankees. I mean, you can't get better than this. You got the Yankees
Right.
black jersey, and then if you look at the Dodgers, what they were wearing, all white, man. Look how clean this looks. It's so clean. This is something that I wish that they would get back to because for teams like I'm going to talk about my Yankees for a second. For a team like the Yankees who never change their jerseys ever, they've had the same damn jerseys, and actually they've gone even, farther back. Given the fact that just a few years ago they changed the piping on the jerseys to
Yeah.
go back to their former, they took it away. So again,
Those are
the
cool. I like
Yankees, oh, I yeah,
the
100%.
the ones they brought in 2024, the old ones,
Yeah.
the road ones. Those are really cool. Having
Oh,
seen those in
yeah.
person, that was really cool. So,
Absolutely, yeah. That's my favorite jersey that I own. It's the one I wear the most. But again, like it was so cool seeing all black Yankee jerseys. That's not something that the Yankees do. So the fact that they did, the fact that they got the Yankees to play into it, and going up against the Dodgers like that weekend, it was just a really cool weekend. And again, the player nicknames on the back of the jerseys, that is something that I want back immediately. That is, excuse me, that is one of those things that I just feel gives a little extra creativity to all the players and what they can put on the back of their jerseys. Especially again going back to the Yankees, man, they don't have names on the back of their jerseys. So for the fact that we got to see, Big Fundy, we got to see 40, we got to see BAJ, those are the ones that I like seeing. I like going against the grain a little bit. It's just one of those extra cool things that make the game that you kind of just look forward to. I saw a lot of cool bats over the weekend. A lot of cool cleats. Shout out Cam Schlittler. He had the Star Wars cleats. Those were sick, man. Um,
I love
but
when any of the
again,
players use the crayon bats
yeah,
or
those
the
are cool.
pencil bats. Those are cool. I've always wanted a blue crayon bat.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and then I also shout out to I believe it was Bryson Stott. He had Toy Story bats. I thought that was sick, man. But again, like we need to give these players a little bit of extra creativity, and I
Which a lot
I
of
gotta
players
think,
have, by the way.
yeah, absolutely. And Jazz, he had Spider-Man mitts over the weekend. That was freaking sick. I just think that by giving the players a little bit more creativity, by getting the fans a little bit more into it with the marketing aspect, I feel that Major League Baseball could be, a step ahead than what they are. And that's something that I wish that they would do. So I'm glad that you brought up Players Weekend because it's definitely something um that hopefully, like you said, in the lockout, it's small, don't get me wrong. This is an extremely small piece of what this lockout truly is about. But I think the marketing aspect, trying to give the players more, freedom in those aspects, I think would go a long way, especially just for morale, not only for the players, but if the players are happy, the owners are going to be happy. In turn, the fans are going to be happy. So again, I just wish that there is a little bit against the grain, a little bit more of that. Especially, Rob Manfred's talking about how the game's changing with the rule changes and things like that. Well, then if that's the case, stuff like this really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. So, hopefully it's a change we see in the future. I don't know, but yeah, Players Weekend's always something I look forward to because even though the little creativity these players have, they always come out and show. Um, it's so cool seeing the custom bats, the custom cleats, and you know, all that stuff. So yeah, Players Weekend's always something that I like, but yeah, I do agree with you that I wish there was a little bit more creativity in there.
Marlins. This news broke about 3 hours ago. Bob Nightingale. The Miami Marlins make wholesome firings in their pro scouting department. One of the Marlins like accounts posted that they had about one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10, about 12 people in the professional scouting department gone, and apparently they are doing that to um, they want to rely more on video when evaluating players. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know why they're doing this. Um, Again, I don't want to use the Dodgers as an example here, but I will. One of the reasons what makes the Dodgers so successful, yes, they have a big payroll and they spend money, but they also have a lot of money invested in scouting departments, in facilities. Like the Dodgers have scouts all over the world. It's not just in the United States. They have them in Japan. They have them in the Caribbean. I'm sure they have them in Mexico. They have all these different kind of scouting people all over the place looking to find the next big thing. And I just don't understand why the Marlins, who already don't spend money on their team already, they have one of the lowest payrolls in the sport. Not to mention that they're actually not doing that bad this year. Like they're like 3 games above 500 and four and a half back of the last spot in the wild card, which is not impossible looking at some of these other teams this year. I don't get why these teams continue, like why teams like the Marlins continue to scale back. It just goes to me. It makes the argument for it like for these smaller market teams. It just makes it hard for me to like I guess feel sorry to you, lack of a better phrase. Like your team is clearly not interested in winning. Clearly not interested in putting money into the team or even scouting something as simple as a scouting department. I just don't want to hear the argument that these big market teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees and others are bad for baseball because it's honestly like now we're getting into a whole nother separate conversation here, but the stance I'm always going to have is the reason why we're having a lockout this year is because these smaller market teams like the Pirates, like the Marlins, don't want to invest in their teams, and they're just pointing the finger at the Dodgers. Oh, look, the Dodgers, they spend too much money. That's why there needs to be a salary cap and there's no competitive balance in this sport. That's not the reason. Like it's just yeah, sure. All right, fine. Let's put in a salary cap, but these other teams also have to invest money. And some of these smaller market teams don't seem to understand that all of a sudden that if we do have a cap next year, like it's just like the Dodgers are just not gonna okay now they're just gonna suck. Like that's not gonna happen. And I just I you can spend whatever money you want now and some of these other teams choose not to do that. Why is that going to change in a salary cap? That I don't understand. Again, I'm going too far off, what the topic was, but I just don't. It just doesn't make any sense.
No, I get it 100%. Now, I'll try to play devil's advocate here for a little bit, but I think the Marlins just haven't had a good farm system in quite some time. They really don't develop players. They're not they're not the type of team that goes out and, finds these, studs and develops them and brings them up. They are not that type of team. Now there are a select few of players who they had in the past that they've drafted and brought up, but then they end up trading them. So to me, it's like the last couple of years. Let's try to look at that. The Marlins have not had a really big time prospect in quite some time. So for the fact that they're selling out their entire, you know, scouting department basically, it tells me one of two things. They're trying to cut corners or they are actually trying to make a change. Now, I'm going to try to be positive here and say, okay, they're trying to make a change. They're trying to get some new faces in there to revamp this scouting department and to get some good young studs in here. I hope that's the case. I truly do. But again, like Mello said, I can't help
The track record
it
has shown otherwise.
exactly. And video footage, is that really what we're going off of here? You got to remember that baseball has baseball has some minds in some of these scouting departments. You know, you look at the Dodgers, you look at the Brewers, who consistently have good farm systems. You look at teams like that. I can't, you can't tell me they just look off of video footage. Some of these scouts have been doing this for a long time, and sometimes you just know, or sometimes you don't know, But
Andrew Friedman flew to Japan like 3 years ago to go see Yamamoto in person pitch. I
again,
think Sasaki
it's
too.
yeah, it is just some of those things that, again, like you said, the track record doesn't necessarily show that. And excuse me, I don't know if video footage is really what we should be looking at when we're targeting some of these players. But again, it is what it is, I guess, and we'll kind of see what happens. Hopefully, the track record starts going off the track a little bit, and these teams. I mean, maybe the Marlins are looking at it like, okay, maybe we can't spend as much money as the Dodgers, but what we can do is revamp our farm system. And by doing that, the first step is going to be revamping the scouting department. I hope that's the
I hope
route that
that's
they're
what it is.
taking. Yeah, 100%. Because then, yeah, you do get a better competitive balance then, which is what we're looking for. But again, I don't want to see a guy like Christian Yelich come up from the farm system and then he's, shipped off in a year. Again, I'm not saying Christian Yelich, if he was on the Marlins all these years, he could have turned this franchise around. No. But I'll tell you what he could do: get fans in the seats, and he could also keep the Marlins competitive a lot more than what they've been. And, just a few years ago, we're not far out from the Giancarlo days. We're not far out from the Yelich days. And, you know, rest in peace, Jose Fernandez, but he was one of
Yep.
the best pitchers this game has ever seen. And for the fact that his career was cut so short it's devastating. But you had a core group of guys. Stanton got shipped off. There were rumblings about Jose Fernandez getting traded, and then Yelich got traded, obviously. So again, you look at this and it's like, okay, yeah, you can develop some of these players, but if you ship them off, you're what's the sense of even getting new guys in the scouting department? Because then, in that case, it's just going to be a never-ending cycle. You're gonna get some good young pieces in, but the moment they develop, you're going to trade them off to replenish the farm system. And then what? And then some of those guys don't pan out. Some of these guys who come up through farm systems are once in a generation type talent. And if you ship them off like that, I mean, come on, what are we doing then? Because then it throws everything that we're talking about out of the way, and it goes back into the talks of the CBA bullshit that we're going to have to talk about in the offseason. So again, if you're doing this for the right reasons, sure, I agree with it. I like it. But if you're just going to, again, time will tell with all of this, but the track record tells me otherwise. So even if you do get a guy in there, or I'm sorry, get a whole new scouting department in there, start getting better prospects. If you ship them off, it doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. So, again, I don't know how it's going to go, but hopefully the Marlins change the track and, start being competitive more. Because, again, if they took this game as serious as some of these big market teams did, you had said it. They're not far out from a playoff spot. They're actually doing pretty good this year. There's a chance you can make the postseason. Why are you not going all in? And if you actually take this game seriously, like some of these big market teams, you could have. I mean, you could very well be in a playoff spot right now, let alone running away with the division. Again, you never know. So we'll see where this goes, but I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and say that I like this move. I'm gonna say that I like it, and hopefully this creates better prospects in the Marlins work, and and they keep them and they develop them, and then they're competitive in a few years. I hope that's what happens because I truly do think it's better for the game. And then if you add a salary floor in with this salary cap that they keep talking about, well, guess what? You're gonna have to spend money anyway. So again, you can't have a salary cap without a salary floor. So the Marlins are going to have to change one way or the other. And if these small market teams want to keep singing this tune about the big market teams such as the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Phillies, you're going to get a salary floor put in place to where you now need to spend. So I want to hear that same tone being talked about when you got to spend more money. So, but as far as the scouting department goes, good on the Marlins, and hopefully you're doing it for the right reasons. That's where I'll leave it at.
Can you imagine if a job hired you just based off of your resume? Like, not no sit down interview after that, no phone call, just hey, send us your resume. Okay, you're hired, or no, we're not interested.
Doesn't work that way.
Doesn't work that way.
Yep.
Um, Injuries. Edwin Diaz, neck inflation, quotation marks, neck inflation. Um, Giancarlo Stanton. God, I feel bad for him. I really do because I saw all the memes and jokes that watch he's gonna get hurt again. Just waking up the next day or something like, and sure enough, that I mean that's not. He was rehabbing, and then he strained his left calf, and now it doesn't even look like he's gonna come back this season. But um, I'll just make mine quick with Edwin Diaz because I feel like it's kind of nothing, honestly. Like Edwin Diaz was throwing a bullpen the other day. I'm like, his neck seems fine to me, but
Yeah.
um, you can go last because the Giancarlo Stanton seems to be somewhat of a bigger news, especially with what the Yankees. Um, it was kind of weird Monday night because the Dodgers had this big lead. They bring in Edwin Diaz and he gives up another 3 runs, and it's getting to that point where like, oh shit, like the Dodgers might actually blow this lead, or the Dodgers might actually have to get somebody up in the bullpen after having this big ass lead, and here comes Diaz and he's giving up more runs and more hard hit contact. And then the next day gets announced that he's going back on the IL with neck inflation. To me, I see, and again, I don't want to come off as like, oh, Edwin Diaz is faking an injury. I don't want to do that. Like, I'm not.
There is such thing as the phantom IL, though.
Yeah,
That is something that a
that is
lot
a
of
thing
teams
that exists
utilize.
too, right? And I saw a lot of people saying that Blake Snell was faking his injury over these last couple months because look at now he's been dominant ever since he's come back. But anyways, that's another story. But um, I'm sure this was more of hey, let's fix the mechanics. Let's restart from zero again, and we'll throw you back out there in 15 days and see how you feel. I hope that's what it is. Again, I'm there. I'm not gonna question a player's injury. Like if he's hurt, he's hurt. Like to me, if he Edwin Diaz strikes me as that guy that if he would be out there.
Yeah.
As bad as it's been for him this season, I feel like he would be out there if he was good to go. But hopefully, um, the Dodgers continue to find more of what maybe try to fix this problem because the Dodgers already addressed one issue. Apparently, one issue they found was that his release point was not as I guess low as it was a couple years ago when he was really good. I think it was either low or high, one of the two. So the Dodgers try to make that adjustment, um, and maybe they'll fix something else here. But again, like I said, I just saw Diaz throw a bullpen the other day, so he's coming off the IL when this 15-day is up. I believe it's next week. But anyways, Giancarlo Stanton, that's bigger news, calf injury, and it doesn't look like he's going to return this season.
Yeah, this one's heartbreaking because out of all the jokes and the memes that are thrown Giancarlo Stanton's way, I will stand behind this day in and day out for Giancarlo Stanton. He has been not only a great Yankee, but he has produced when he's on the field.
Yep.
Now, unfortunately, he he's not on the field a lot. And I mean, there's no question about that. Like when you talk about Giancarlo Stanton, you have to think about the injuries, and then it begs the question, what if, right? Do the Yankees have another championship if Giancarlo Stanton stays healthy? That is a big question that a lot of people should be asking. And I think what I'm asking out of this is has John Carlos Stanton played his last game as a Yankee? That's my question because there's no doubt that this man wants to be on the field. I don't, out of all the jokes and the shit that gets thrown his way, he wants to be out there. I hope people realize that. Giancarlo Stanton is a hell of a man. This dude is built like a shit brick house, dude. I don't understand how the hell he keeps up this physique. I mean, he's in good shape, but his body
It
just
looks just like
keeps.
me.
Yeah, exactly. His body just keeps letting him down day in, and day out, year after year. You know, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it that Giancarlo Stanton is a phenomenal baseball player. Unfortunately, if his body keeps giving out on him, it's never going to work. And the conversation comes up, like, could can Giancarlo Stanton hit 500 homers? Kind of pave his way to Cooperstown type of thing. I don't know if that's a thing anymore, man. I know that he wants to be out there. I know that he wants to continue playing baseball. But the Yankees have one more year left on this contract. You know, 2027, I believe he's a free agent after that. Anything like there's no way he's coming back to the Yankees. He has one more year left on this contract. And if depending on how this lockout goes, we don't know how, like, is he going to play any more games with the Yankees depending on his rehab, because maybe he's just this injury just doesn't get better. It's now in both of his calves. And calf injuries are not something that just gets healed overnight. So, I mean, when you have that type of player on the ball field, yeah, he can hit you a lot of homers. He can drive you in a lot of runs. But you also got to look at the type of build that he has, and him and Judge are kind of built the same way. And look at the track record, man. It's kind of against them. So, luckily, Judge has kind of figured it out over the last few years. This is the year that he's really lost some time. But Stanton, man, it is year in and year out that there is something going on with him, and it has become a liability more than anything. 2024, he really stepped it up in the postseason. Again, that is what the Yankees need Stanton for. But I like if he can't even get to the postseason, man, there's no reason why he should be on this roster.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that because I love Giancarlo Stanton just as much as the next person. But the track record shows that he is just not dependable. You know, I hate to say this, but I'd rather have a guy like, you know, I'm trying like Heliot Ramos is a perfect example right now. I'd rather have Heliot Ramos out there every single day than Giancarlo Stanton for 20 games a year. I mean, and Heliot Ramos has not been off to the greatest start since the Yankees traded for him. But I'd still rather have him out there every single day than I would Stanton for 20 games a year. Again, it truly does go back to saying, like, has Stanton played his final game as a Yankee? I think his time in New York is dwindling very quickly. Do I think he's going to play baseball again? I do. I don't know where that's going to be. I don't know what that's going to look like, but at the end of the day, I don't want this to be the end for Stanton because I've loved Stanton ever since he got here. He's handled the media extremely well. The one thing that plays against him is his own body, and that's what sucks about this because it's something that's out of his control, something that's out of the Yankees' control, and there's nothing that we can do about it. So, um, I just hope, I just hope that you know I mean, now to try to bring some positivity into this, Aaron Boone had said that we're not technically ruling out, him returning at some point this season or going to be ready for next year. But again, it doesn't look that way, and that's what really sucks about this. So, yeah, hopefully it gets better soon, but you have to start asking yourself the question: has Stanton played his final game as a Yankee? And if that answer is a yes, has he played his final baseball game in his career? I hope that answer is no, but we'll see where it goes because Stanton's a hell of a man. He's a hell of a ball player, and it sucks to see something like this happen to him. So,
All right. We got this weird kind of Ketel Marte situation that has kind of unrolled over the last week. So, literally a week ago today, the Diamondbacks were in Boston, and the Diamondbacks social media team had posted that Ketel Marte was going on the he was going on the restricted list. And it took a lot of Diamondbacks fans and a lot of baseball fans like, what do you mean restricted list? Like, and then the report comes out that he just never showed up to the ballpark that night for the game. And fast forward this week, Then the report came out the next day that he was apparently flying back to Arizona to get his knee checked out. Torey Lovello was very, very emotional. Um, uh, After the game Monday, he was in tears almost. He was. It seemed like he had known something about the situation, but of course wasn't going to tell the media. And then fast forward to a couple nights ago, the Diamondbacks are back home, and video and pictures surface him at the casino. Um, s- Seems like having a good old time. And now everything is put into question of what's going on here. And um, the Diamondbacks manager said he felt betrayed now, and it's just a big mess. And it couldn't come at a worse time because it felt like the Diamondbacks had been playing some good ball recently, and Ketel was a part of it. And they were even in a postseason spot not just that long ago, and now they're 2 games out behind the Padres, and they're on the outside looking in. So, just kind of weird situation going on. But I hope everything's okay with Ketel Marte. But um, from everything that I've seen from D-backs fans, they have completely turned on him, and they kind of don't want nothing to do with him anymore. I think they kind of prefer at the end of the season if he goes and moves on somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been a really weird situation. It kind of sucks all around for not only
Yeah.
for Ketel Marte, but for Diamondbacks fans, for the Diamondbacks in total. The Diamondbacks have just, I mean, it kind of feels like they should just wash their hands with this situation because this isn't the first time that something like this has happened. Um, it does, it does suck all around. But again, like the videos and pictures surfacing of the casino, that's not a good look, especially when you're no show to a game. I mean, again, this isn't the first time something like this has happened. So again, I mean, all signs are showing that Marte might not be with the Diamondbacks in the near future. It kind of sucks because Ketel Marte has been a huge bright spot of the Diamondbacks for the last, God, however many years. So again, it's like through the rebuild, through the dark days, he has been here and he's been a cornerstone. He's turned himself into one of the best second basemen in all of baseball. So again, this situation just sucks to see. Hopefully he's in good spirits. Hopefully everything's okay. That's the main thing here. Hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he's not dealing with anything, personally. Um, and hopefully you know, he's in good health. Everything's good. But it is a disappointing situation for sure because again, Ketel Marte is one of the better baseball players in the league. So for the fact that something like this is going on, it kind of sucks. So yeah, I don't know how much longer he's got with Arizona. I really don't, but hopefully hopefully it gets figured out soon, and the Diamondbacks and Marte can move on from this situation and look to the future, whether that's with each other or without each other. But I feel like there's got to be something that there is a resolution to this whole debacle and kind of what's going on.
um, all right, our teams: Dodgers, Yankees. Yeah, you can go first with the Yankees. Go
Okay.
for it, because I don't even know what happened with the Yankees last week. So this will be interesting.
Yeah, so as far as the Yankees go, they've been playing good ball, man. They are last Monday they were off. They're having a stretch right now, but they have a lot of Mondays off. But started a series against Baltimore. They swept them. It's exactly what you want, right? This was a bit of an AL East kind of series. They went to Baltimore, to Toronto, or against Toronto, and they went 5-1 in those two series. That's exactly what you want, right? You created some steam in the AL East a little bit because now you're only 3 games back at Tampa Bay, and you also created 3 games behind you with Boston, and you're also up 9.5 games in the wild card. So I'm gonna keep this very short and sweet, man. There's not much that I can complain about. I mean, you go 5-1 against two of your division rivals. That's what you want. This is the kind of ball that I've been looking for. They kind of popped off yesterday for I believe it was eight or nine runs. Um, Jazz looked good. The rest of the offense kind of started coming around. Grisham's been coming around a little bit more. Excuse me. Cody Bellinger's back now, so we got him up here, and yeah, overall, really good. The pitching has been phenomenal. Again, I can't say enough about this pitching this year. That is the one area of the Yankees that I cannot complain about. They've given me no reason to. I'll kind of touch on some injuries a bit. Aaron Judge is starting some light activity, so again, that's huge. We already touched on Stanton, and Max Fried goes to the 15-day IL. This one kind of stung a little bit, but after reports are coming out, and kind of the beat reporters and the speculations behind this, it feels more of a phantom IL thing. Max Fried has been dealing with some buggy injuries all season long, and if the Yankees want to make some noise in the postseason, Max Fried's got to be here. He's got to be healthy. He's got to be ready to go. So I don't know if, they feel comfortable where they're at in the standings and they're looking ahead, trying to protect Max Fried from something serious in the postseason. That's huge. So again, hopefully the reports that are coming out are more on that side of a phantom IL kind of stint. Ryan Weathers also went to the 15-day IL. This one sucks too because Ryan Weathers has been phenomenal the last couple of starts. And I was not a fan of him to start the year. I felt like every single time he would go out there, he would give up 3 to 4 earned runs per start. And he would only go 4 or 5, 6 innings maybe. Or 4 or 5 innings. And for the fact that he started getting he started coming around a bit more, started getting his mechanics down, his command, his velocity, everything looked good. In the past couple of starts, I'm like, okay, if we can add Ryan Weathers to this stud of a rotation, oh hell yeah, I'm loving this for the postseason. And of course, now he goes down. So, um, Boone didn't rule out him being back around the end of September, start of the postseason, and if that's the case, he'll likely see a bullpen kind of role. So if long reliever, maybe a spot start, something like that. But um, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That's all I have on the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees have been playing some sound baseball. It's exactly what you want. There's nothing that I can truly sit here and complain about. I mean, again, 5-1. So they looking ahead. They start a okay tomorrow. They start a 3-game series against the Houston Astros, and then they start a 4-game series against the Boston Red Sox. So your two biggest rivals over the last few seasons, you got to take care of business. You got 7 games against these guys. Um, you got to take care of business. I mean, Houston, they've been playing some good ball recently, but again, if you can hold down Jordan and the pitching has shown that they can, that's exactly what you want. And looking into Boston, those are some serious games. That's a 4-game series that you got coming up in in a division where they are only 3 games behind you. You got to take care of business there. You got to. I'm looking for at least a series split. Best case scenario, you win 3 out of 4. So, and then after that, you get into Anaheim and the rest of their schedule. But I'll focus on the two that we'll be talking about next week. So, yeah, just take care of business. Come out with a winning record. That's all we really need. We just got to keep chipping ahead at that lead and go from there. So that's my talk on the Yankees. Again, not too much to complain about. 5-1 over 2 year division rivals. That's huge.
Um, and with my Dodgers, good week. Nothing for me to complain about either. They went 6-0. Um, Granted, they didn't play anybody good. They played the Rockies 3 and the Pirates over the weekend. But I told you that this 3-game series that they had against the Rockies in Colorado last week, the way the Dodgers had been playing in the previous weeks against the Brewers, the Red Sox, Cubs, it felt like a trap series. Like, okay, here comes the kind of this runway for the Dodgers to start playing better, and then they go to a weird place like Colorado against a team that it seems like always up to play against them. And it smelled like a trap series, and it didn't happen. Dodgers took all 3 games. Um, wasn't two of them were kind of close, but at this point, man, I'm taking the wins any way I could get them, and then take three against the Pirates, and they look good in all of them. And now the best thing I think um, coming up here is that the Dodgers are now going to have this runway of where you're going to start seeing this rotation at full strength. Tyler Glasnow's making his return tomorrow. Dodgers are in Atlanta for a 6-game road trip. Braves and Tigers. The probables for this week, it looks like it's gonna be Glasnow tomorrow, Sasaki Wednesday, Yamamoto Thursday, and then you're gonna have Screwball, Snell, um, in there as well coming up. So you're gonna start seeing this rotation fully healthy, and that's a sight to see if you're a Dodger fan, and something that I think other teams in baseball should be afraid of because um, to, the Dodgers clearly have the best rotation in the sport, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. This rotation is going to have to carry this team again if they want to win the World Series again, and we're going to start to see this healthy. And it looks like Shohei Otani's close to returning to the mound too. He threw a 30 pitch, um, kind of live AB session against Will Smith, who he is going to be on a rehab assignment this week as well. So the reinforcements are here, man, and they're coming right at the perfect time. And um, it felt very doom and gloom last week because, like I had mentioned it, the whole year up until recently, it felt like the Dodgers were gonna either have the 1 or the 2 seed, and they were gonna have to avoid the wild card. And then the Dodgers started playing with their food, kind of screwing around here a little bit, and the Braves at one point were in front of them, and then it meant the Dodgers would have to play in that wild card series. Well, with the Dodgers going 6-0 in this last week, and the Braves stumbling, getting swept by the Twins, and then losing 2 out of 3 to the Brewers. The Dodgers have now flipped the standings, and they're beginning to run away with it. And honestly, if the Dodgers can just take this series against the Braves, either 2 out of 3 or a sweep, they can essentially put the 2 seed away this week, and that's a very, very good sign going into the final month of the season. And they've kind of gained some ground, kind of quietly too, gained some ground on the Milwaukee Brewers for the 1 seed. And technically, they're a game back, but really they're 2 games back because the Brewers have the tiebreaker against the Dodgers. So the only way the Dodgers are going to jump the Brewers is that they have to finish with a better record than them. And a week ago, didn't look like that could happen. But fast forward now, they're 2 games back, and the Dodgers are right there to try and get home field advantage throughout the entire postseason and avoid the wild card altogether. So, um, a very good week for my team. Dodgers did what they were supposed to do. Um, but however, I mentioned at the beginning, I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to jump up and down, and say, "Oh, we're going to three-peat now." Just like how I haven't been getting too low with the losses in the last month and a half, I'm not going to get too high with the wins either. So just kind of, you know what I'm looking for. I've been looking, and this was partly my fault because I had mentioned it. I think at the beginning of July, that the boat that the Dodgers have been on up until that point had not been rocking or shaking at all. It's been kind of smooth waters, smooth sailing, and then it hit a bumpy road in the last 6 weeks, and it feels like the boat is starting to, like, the waters are starting to cool, the boat is starting to stay still, and right now they're at this like cruising kind of altitude where hopefully the little bumpy ride was already behind them and they can just cruise the rest of this way um, to finish out the regular season. Like I said, the thing that is going to help a lot is that the Dodgers have not that good of a schedule, a very weak schedule to finish the season. So um, the Dodgers are going to have an opportunity here to gain some ground on some teams and go into October feeling good about themselves, playing some good baseball. So um, yeah, nothing to complain about with me. Dodgers do what they were supposed to do, and 6-game road trip, Atlanta and Detroit. Very much looking forward to Eric Schoolwell making his return to the Tigers. I want to see how that's going to go. I'm sure there'll be emotions. I'm sure he'll say something, but um, the thing that is getting me very excited as we come up on the final month of the season is that this team is getting healthy same at the exact right time. And there's going to be this runway here where the Dodgers are going to have a month here where all their guys are going to be back and they can figure out how they're going to want to set up their lineups, set up their rotations, set up their bullpen, and guys are going to get into their new roles comfortable. So, um, yeah, very nothing to complain about with me with the Dodgers. Blake Snell has come back and looked fantastic in the three-start he's made since the injured list. Um, so this rotation is getting me very excited, and I'm anxious to see Tyler Glasnow return to the mound tomorrow. So, yeah, Dodgers do what they're supposed to do, and I got no complaints. Just keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully the Dodgers can have another good week before they return home. So there
Absolutely.
you have it. There you have it. That's our teams. So
Yes, sir.
unless you got anything else, I think that's gonna do it.
I think that's it, man. Yeah. We're getting down here, man. It's actually kind of crazy just how close we are to the end of the year.
Yeah, and I had this discussion with a couple of my coworkers yesterday, and I'll leave you with this. I have two homestands left in the season. That's
Yep.
it. I have two. I have a 9 game homestand coming up next week, a week from when this podcast comes out tomorrow. And then I have a 6 game homestand, and that's it. We're done with at least with the regular season. Hopefully we got another full month of October baseball ahead. But this season has gone by crazy fast. I can't believe we're already at the end of August. I can't believe that I have 2 homestands left before the postseason starts. And but I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm kind of in this mode right now where it's let's just get to October when the games really start to matter.
I get it, man. I get it.
Yeah. I want to enjoy these last couple weeks because again, you know, the season's gonna end. I'm gonna be here in the dead of winter, and I'm gonna be like, damn, what I would do to be working at Dodger Stadium right now.
Yep.
So again, it's like walking a fine line. I'm trying to like enjoy the rest of the season as best as I can because I know I always miss it, when the off season rolls around and I'm not really doing anything. But then I'm also like, can we just sim the rest of these season and just get to October? You know, when these games really start to matter. But um, yeah. So that's gonna do it.
Absolutely, man.
That's gonna do it for this episode. Um, we're approaching 200, which is crazy,
Yeah. Seriously.
and I know we'll touch more upon it when we get to episode 200. But we have done a tremendous job of not missing a week.
Yeah. For sure, man. I mean, through all the vacations that, I've taken, through the trips that you've taken, and the trips we've taken together, dude, you know, it's been it's been crazy. Every single week we have posted.
Yeah, we've all for 200 straight weeks we've had stuff to talk about.
Always.
All right, well, we'll see you in a week. Adios.